I will repeat myself a little bit right now. So, what I was saying, projects are due right now. You should be submitting stuff to Classroom. Make sure it gets in now. It should have already been done. Make sure your notebooks are ready to go. You got your names on them. I'm going to collect those here in a sec. Virtual students, all of this is going to be online on Classroom for you guys. What I was saying is right now, 2.1 assignments are due, right? As of right now, if you haven't turned it in to me or sent me an email or whatever, it's going to be stuck at a 0. I told you we got to do this unit's work now, right? I'm not going to let you turn in beginning of the semester work before Christmas. There's no point. We've already moved on. Especially because this class we build, we learn something and we apply it, and then we use that to figure out something more complex. You have to stay on track. The other thing I was saying is this project. My last class, a lot of kids weren't done with it, which is concerning. They had all of break to do it. They had all this week to do it. I was reminding you guys constantly. So what I said was, okay, the unit is still done. Homework is cut off. However, this project, which should be the end of the unit, I'm going to give you an extension. Now, it's a late penalty extension. What I'm going to do is, if you didn't get this project done right now, you got like half of it done, you're like, I don't want to submit half of it. Well, I still want you to finish it, or maybe you didn't do it at all for whatever reason. I'm going to give you till the end of day Sunday. So Sunday at midnight. You can turn it in, however, there's going to be a penalty. It's going to be half credit.
Oh, no.
Right? I'm giving you the chance to at least get half the points rather than a 0, which is what you would get right now, because you did not make the deadline, even though you knew about it for a long, long time. So I'm going to cut you a deal where this project you could turn in at the end of this week, or the weekend, Sunday at midnight. Same for you virtual students. I'll do the same thing, but it'll be half credit. That way you can at least get some points for this project, which is a big part of your grade, rather than, oh crap, I didn't do it and I missed the deadline. Well, I can bust my butt, get what I should have had done a long time ago, and at least get some points. All right? So, I got to get attendance really quick. Who is here? Do we got everybody?
Yeah.
Oh, Gabriel's not here. And Jesse. And Shay. Man, Shay's been gone a long time. Okay. So there's that. So again, project should be in. What I'm going to go do now, I'm going to come around and get all your engineering notebooks, right? So make sure you have those out. Make sure your names are on those, right? I'm going to come pick these up. I got to take all these home, and I get a fun weekend of grading like 30 projects.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And everybody, you guys should have your names on here from last time, but I need all your notebooks. Thank you. You guys got yours? No? Sure. Again, I hope you guys were using pens. If you didn't,
I wasn't here when you told us we had to use the notebook. I had mine.
It's on the.
Yeah, oh, no. Yeah, you don't get to use that excuse. Not only have we used the notebook on the previous project, but anytime we have in-class work, unless I give you the worksheet, right, we do everything in the notebook. Okay. And again, the grading rubric. All these little things, if it was a notebook thing, you might want to use that. I specified, like, hey, this piece in the notebook.
I use my notebook.
That's fine. I just want one notebook that you only use for engineering. Right? And then have it every day, right? So that way you can come to class. So is this your engineering stuff is here? Okay, that's fine. Yep. Right here. So this is fine. You don't have to have a special one as long as this is your work, and I'll grade that.
Okay.
Perfect. Oh, you got yours. Oh, did I pick it up already? Oh, I'm going backwards.
Okay.
2.1.5. Zero. Perfect. All right, I will do my best to try and grade these this weekend. Hopefully, I get enough time to get them done. Again, everything else should have been already submitted onto Classroom. I have like an entire grocery bag on full right now. Alright. Yeah, we're gonna start class though. What do you want?
I'll see if I can use the restroom, but I can wait for next week.
I mean, if you want to hustle now before I really get going, because that's the time we're doing in-person stuff together. So yeah, just try to be quick, please. So, well, that's not what I want. So if you guys look on Classroom, what we're doing today, we're starting officially, we're going to Unit 2.2. 2.2, the general, I guess, topic is about like reverse engineering. So we're progressing. We've now learned about 2.1 is all about assemblies. We know how to make parts, make part drawings, dimension them, all this stuff. Now we did assemblies where we said, okay, let's put these parts together. Let's actually make something rather than just having a bunch of random parts. We put them together and made an assembly, right? We made a headphone case. We made the selfie stick, right? We assembled that. All those pieces, we put it together. That's what your engineers do. They make parts and then put them together to make products. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start investigating the machines, the objects, the mechanisms, the designs that we're assembling, and we're going to figure out like how they're working, right? All these things we're putting together, how do they work? This unit is all about like reverse engineering. We're going to look at products and things that exist and try to like take them apart and investigate them to see how they work, how they're put together, right? So that's, I guess, the overall topic of this Unit 2.2. There are two activities we're doing today. We're going to walk through them together. They're not that hard. If you pay attention, right, I'm going to give you time to get it done, and you'll just turn it in the classroom and be done by the end of the class, and then you won't have any homework for the weekend, all right? The first thing, it's looking specifically at what is reverse engineering. So for this, I'm going to need you guys to get out your MacBooks and get onto Classroom and my PLTW. I'll have a lot of this I'll leave on the screen for you guys to just look quickly. But on Classroom for 2.2.1, you'll notice there's a Google Slides attached. I want you guys to get that open and just have ready. This is what we're going to fill out as I go through 2.2.1. So find your way to Google Classroom, Virtual Students, same thing. You're going to go here, look at 2.2.1. And you'll notice this is, it's like note cards, but instead of doing them in person, I'm having everybody do them digitally. It's just easier, I think, for you guys and also for me to grade, right? I'm going to just go to Classroom and grade them. Virtual students, same thing. You're going to open this Google Slides, and it's going to act as virtual note cards for you that you're going to fill in as part of this activity. And then once we end the activity, I just need you to attach it to Classroom and submit it, all right? So before we can actually do that, I need to explain what we're doing. Reverse engineering. Has anybody ever heard of reverse engineering before? A couple of you guys? Give me, shout out, like, what is it? what does reverse engineering mean? Or what do you know of it? Malachi?
Taking like a device apart to understand it more.
Yeah, taking something apart to understand it more. Good. Other thoughts? Or where have you heard reverse engineering used?
Only in this lesson.
In this lesson, okay. Has anybody used it in another setting? Where have you heard it before? TV shows? Like which ones? Do you know off the top of your head? I'm curious.
Phineas and Ferb.
Really?
Yeah.
Phineas and Ferb. I know what that show is. I've never seen it.
Okay.
How it's made? Yeah, that works.
How they make it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not quite reverse engineering, but it's like walk along engineering. Yeah. I love that show, by the way. That's one of my favorites. Reverse engineering, Malachi, I liked his answer. Taking something apart to see how it works. When would be a situation where an engineer would actually do that? Like you're an engineer, you work for a company. When would you reverse engineer something? Drew?
If there's a malfunction.
Malfunction. All right, so you're going to take that design or that product apart and see what failed, correct? Yeah, that's a good one.
In more detail, show what the part or object is made out of.
Okay, right, to actually look at what's inside a product. Adrian?
Like, we're trying to see what competitors
Yeah, that's a really big one, right? Tesla, kind of the standard for electric cars. While other companies, when they were developing their electric cars, it's not uncommon for auto manufacturers to buy their competitor's car and test it, take it apart, see how it works, for the exact thing of, what is my competitor doing? Can I learn anything from them? How can I make my design better than them? Now, another thing that you might be thinking of is, wait, isn't that stealing their technology? Isn't that illegal? Well, if they have a patent on that technology and you take it and use it in your product, that's illegal. That's copyright infringement, patent infringement. That is another reason you would use reverse engineering, right? If I patent this, battery for electric cars, and all of a sudden I see this company come out with my battery, I was like, whoa, I never sold my battery to them. How are they using my battery technology? I patented that design. You can buy their product, reverse engineer it, and use it as evidence in your lawsuit against them, right? They violated your patent without your consent. So you can take their product, reverse engineer it, and prove they used my patent without my permission, and this gives me evidence to sue them, right? So that's another really common reason that people will reverse engineer something. You see a lot of like the unfortunately stereotypical like Chinese knockoff, all these cheap iPhone, like fake iPhones or fake AirPods, fake cameras, fake Gucci handbags, whatever. Those things, sometimes it's a gray area. It gets into like legal areas, but sometimes those are legitimate copyright infringements, patent infringements. You can get those products and take them apart to prove, yes, they violated my patent. So those are a lot of reasons to do reverse engineering. So I'm going to basically walk through the My PLTW assignment for you. We're going to do it together. So these are a lot of things. Make a product for testing, competitor's product, patent infringement, investigate failure and conditions. That was Drew's. So what we're going to do, the first thing we have to start with, there's 3 aspects of reverse engineering. There's a visual aspect where you just look at a product and you visually describe it, visually inspect it, what it looks like, what's it made of, things like that. The functional analysis, how does it work? I'm going to take all these parts apart to figure out, wait, how is this thing actually working? What's up, Andre? So do you have a calculator, right?
No.
Not on you. You can use mine. here's the test. It's 20 questions. 21 if you include your name. You have, I'll just let you use this. Just leave it here though. On your equation sheet you can use. Other than that, that's it. Feel free to grab a seat over there if you want to sit down. If you want to stand and work, by all means. If you have questions, I'll be teaching / giving them work time. Just try to wave at me, holler at me.
Okay.
Try not to interrupt me, but let me know when you have questions. I don't want you to sit there and try and. I don't want you to. Huh? Yes, it is. So yeah, don't sit by Brody. Andre is in my AP Physics class. He's got a college visit day, so he's taking the test we were going to take today. So he's, I guess, a guest student today. But please, let me know if you have questions. I don't want you to sit there and.
I'll have questions, don't worry.
Yeah. Again, it should be about 45 minutes or so. But you should be good. Yeah, let me know if you need something. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. So again, the second piece, besides visually inspecting the design and what it's made of, functional. All these things that we looked at, all the parts we see when we took it apart, how do they work? What are they doing? How does it accomplish its, advertised goal? And then there's a structural piece. Okay, all these pieces, what are they made of? How big are they? Are they heavy? Are they multiple parts put together? Are they a unique material? Things like that. That's the three major criteria for when we reverse engineer something. That's really what we're looking at. So what we're going to do, we're going to start that process. We're going to start with visual. We're going to, virtually reverse engineer, I think it's a PS4 controller. Can anyone confirm?
Yeah.
That's PS4, right? It's a knockoff, or not a knockoff, I shouldn't say that. It's a, off-brand aftermarket controller. It's not a OEM. So what we're going to do, there's an animation. If you guys want to pull this up on your PLTW, you can. There's a 3D animation that you can really investigate. Otherwise, I'm going to just leave this up here. What I need you guys to do right now, it's really small. Go to the Google Slides that you should have made a copy of from Classroom. Each of you needs to be doing this right now. Hayden, you got your MacBook? Where is it?
I forgot it.
Okay. I'm going to have you just do it on a piece of paper then. So what you guys need to be doing is that first slide, this is visual analysis. My instructions are a 1 to 2 sentence summary of the visual description of this console or controller. Doesn't need to be crazy detailed, but it does need to have detail. What does it look like? What are some visual features? I'm going to leave that up there. So I need you to all take time to fill in that first slide. So same thing, just do 1, 2, 3. And do this, but just on paper, and I'll turn that in and give you points for it. Oh, you don't have one of those?
Oh, yeah, I forgot my backpack. That's why you can get my notebook.
Okay, that's same thing though. Just over the weekend, just email me pictures of it, or add your pictures to your Google submission. That way, I can still give you some credit for it. I don't want it to be stuck at a 0. All right. So again, look at this controller. If you want to look at the 3D model, pull it up on your computer, and you can interact with that 3D model. Visual analysis. Just give a generic but descriptive visual description of this controller. Look about colors, look at shapes, textures, right? Features, a 1 to 2 sentence visual description. Luke? You have a charger? Where is your charger? Why is it at home? Why?
Just don't.
Oh, well,
I thought it wasn't plugged in last night, so.
you will have to ask one of your friends if they got a charger. Does anybody have a charger that we could borrow just for the class? Nobody's got one?
You got one, Trevor?
Thank you, Trevor. All right. Did everyone get a chance to get that visual description? Don't go too crazy, right? 1-2 sentence, but add some detail. Give me some description, right? You got to actually analyze the controller. What kind of shapes do we have? Are there different textures? What does it look like? Right? It might seem silly, but we're kind of doing the fundamental process of reverse engineering, and we're just doing it very formally. Now, an engineer might just do all this in their head. They might inspect this and come up with all these descriptions in their head. I need you to put that on a piece of paper. We're going to walk through how do we actually do this. So that's why it might seem a little weird or feel weird. All right, so the second thing, so that's what we just did, the description. Virtual students, you'll be doing the same thing everyone else is doing, so it's a Google Slides. You'll do the first slide and describe it. The system relationships. There's 3 big things or vocabulary words for when we're talking about kind of the function, how this works. What is an input? Yes, something you make it do, Trey. What you're doing, right? What's an example of an input for this controller?
Pressing X.
Pressing X button, moving joystick, pressing the R2 trigger. Inputs are things that you're doing to the design. They're things you're inputting to the object, right? They formally define inputs as information or signals entered into a computer system. So we provide an input to the controller by pushing a button, moving a joystick, right? There's also inputs for the controller itself. It provides inputs to the game, right? But we're focused on the controller, so we're going to think about inputs to the controller. What are outputs? Yeah. How are outputs related to inputs? Yeah. My input is pressing R2. Shooting the gun is the output. Inputs are what I do. Outputs are basically the response. The controller then outputs a signal to do something. Again, we're looking at the controller. So me pushing the button is the input. The signal it sends is the output. Function is a really tricky. We had a problem last class like defining this and understanding it. The best way I like this second definition, the action or actions that an item is designed to perform. The function is what the controller should do. How should it function, right? Now there's different parts, like the battery's function is to provide power to the controller, right? The how it does that, well, that's like electrochemistry, right? We don't need to worry about that. Another function of the controller is to interact with the video game, right? The console. That's its function. It's what it's supposed to do. The how is, it receives sensory input, translates into a electronic signal, and sends the signal wirelessly to the game controller or the console. That's the how. But the function is what it does. Right? Nolan gave the example of the R2 trigger. That trigger's function is to shoot the gun on the video game. The how is like, a sensor is depressed, creates a signal, sends a signal wirelessly, game interprets that. But inputs, outputs, and functions are what I want you to be thinking about. We're going to watch a video of the controller in action. I'll warn you, it's a little gimmicky. They tried to make a retro video game, but new. So it's like this weird mix. I'm going to get the audio on. It's like a 1-minute video. It's showing you how the controller works. And the purpose is going to be for us to think about, what inputs are there? This is going to be slide 2 or note card 2. You're going to be filling this out or thinking about it while we're watching this video. What inputs happen? What things go into the controller? What are the functions of those? Right? I push button R2. Its function is to send a signal to the game. Output, gun is shot. Right? I want you to be thinking about these things while we watch this video. Let me make sure the audio goes to the sound bar. So again, he's going to be using the controller. Watch what he does and what happens on the game.
Knockout.
Yes, sorry.
I just get my name.
Yeah, she don't Okay. So you guys see that? A lot of these, you guys have probably played enough video games to know about what either button would do. But from that video,
How is it even controlled? The controller was
I know. I'm almost positive that they made the simulation and then had him press the buttons at the right time so that it looked like he was playing the game. I'm almost positive he wasn't actually doing that.
There's the light appearing on the bottom of the PS4 controller.
Yeah. And then did you see, like, when he had the rumble effect, he would, like, go like this to exaggerate it, because you can't see it, but he would, like, shake the controller to tell you that, okay, there's the rumble feedback, that haptic response. But, second slide, I want you to recall from the video, like, what were the inputs? Button A was pushed. Left joystick was moved. R2 button was pushed. Those are the inputs. Then for each of those inputs, write the function. What was it supposed to do? Now, most of them are going to be like, send a signal to game. Send move signal to game. And then the output, the final result of those inputs is, character moved up on the screen. Character through dog bone. Right? Kind of make a grid or bullet points. What was the input? What was its function? What should it have done? And what actually happened in the game?
You use X to jump, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
You want me to play it one more time?
Yes.
Okay. We're working on the second one.
What is the little these called?
Huh?
What is that little
This?
you got the pad on top on the left.
On the back side?
You got the pad.
On the middle?
Top part.
This?
However one.
The D-pad.
Yeah.
Oh, the arrow keys. Yeah, D-pad, I think they call it, yeah.
Yeah.
There's that rumble effect. So this is going to be a zoom up of what he's pushing and then what happens in the game. So this will be helpful.
Perfect.
Looks like turbo, whatever.
Which one's turbo?
I think it was X.
It was the rumble.
Yeah, the rumble, yeah.
My station should have that brighter colors.
Yeah, don't ever.
How do you get past the bully? Do you like throw him a bone too?
Oh, I have no
Jump
idea.
over him, I'm assuming.
You might have to move out of the way or something.
He gets a hit.
But anyway, don't worry about getting everything, but get quite a few, get a handful. What were the inputs? What buttons were pushed? What was the function? What was it supposed to do? Now, almost all of them are supposed to be like, send, move signal to computer, send, jump signal. That's what it's supposed to do. The output is what actually happens. Well, character jumps on screen, blah, blah, blah. Right?
What was the turbo?
I think it was the X button. Or square, right? That's the left
You're
one.
used to Xbox, aren't you?
No, I don't do any game
On
system.
the Xbox, it'd be
What's Xbox? A, B, Y, X? And PlayStation is X, circle, triangle, square?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I guess I was doing it backwards for you guys. But yeah. I don't do any video games.
I don't even have
At my house, my parents' house, we have our Nintendo Wii,
That's what I have.
which is insane. The Wii came out in like 2007, didn't it?
Yeah. Then the Wii
Was it? 2006? So it's 14 years old. That's insane to me.
I have to.
That is nuts.
I've almost had
That's
my
right.
Xbox game system for 5 years.
Yeah, that's like,
They
it's
last-
insane.
they
But
last
anyway,
a while.
all I have the Wii. I don't play it unless I go home and visit my parents. And we do like Mario Kart is my favorite. Wii Sports is probably my second favorite. That's a
Wii Sports is
oldie but a goodie.
Because that's the only game my dad plays.
Yeah.
Did the boxing on that Wii Sports was
I still.
Oh, I didn't do that one much.
I love the boxing.
My other class was talking about there's some guy with like a mustache, like he's like the boss or the last guy, and you can never beat him on boxing.
I've been.
I don't know.
Wait,
Boss
season.
didn't beat Matt. Matt was godly.
Matt?
too.
Yeah.
Matt was godly.
Yeah.
You couldn't beat him in anything.
And I never got that far and did the boxing much, so I didn't know what they're talking about, but they were all like, yeah, like, you can never beat this guy. Okay, so anyway, outputs is what happened on the game, right? So the character jumps.
Oh, I'll put that in functions.
Yeah, it's a little vague. The function is make character jump. That's what it's supposed to do. The output is character actually jumps. Does that make a little more sense?
Wow.
Right.
We go the more description on the functions.
The function is just like what's supposed to happen, right? If I hit the X button, right, what's supposed to happen is it'll send turbo signal. The output is character actually, activates turbo. The final result, the final output is what happens in the game. They're very, very similar, but the function is what is it supposed to do? Output is what actually happens. Does that make a little more sense?
Yeah.
I know there's a little bit of crossover, but that's intentional. But I want you to understand the function. What is it supposed to do? Output is what actually happens. What's actually outputted. This is where you could have an input, right? Push jump button. It's supposed to send a jump signal, but nothing happens. So you don't have any output. Thank you, bro. All right. So I know it's a little vague, confusing. They're very similar, but so what I want you to do now, leave this hypothesis blank.
I just put the controller works.
Yeah, that's fine. The last thing, this is now, we're going to get to actually disassembling it, right? We're going to take this apart.
Like the remote?
Yeah. So there's a video where they literally have the guy, he takes the whole controller apart. So we're going to watch the video of the disassembly. Before we do this, what you guys need to do, you need to pick one function. From note card 2, one function. I want you to pick that one function, and you are going to focus on that while you watch the disassembly. So your function might be make the character jump, the jump signal. Yeah, right? If you pick that one, in your mind you're like, okay, I'm focusing on the making character jump. Well, I need to pay attention to, wait, what button was used? What input made the character jump? Was it, I forget what it actually was. X? So in your head you're like, oh, I know the input was the X button. I need to watch the disassembly and pay attention to the X button. You're going to think of that function and watch the disassembly, and you're going to try and figure out how does the input and the button pushing and the controller actually make the character jump. Because they're going to take all the components apart. So you're going to see like the button, the sensor, the wire, the transmitter. All those things are needed to actually take the input and produce the output. So pick one function, focus on that, and focus on it when you watch the disassembly so that you can look at the parts associated with that function to try to figure out how does it actually do that. All right? That's what you're going to write down on card 3. Describe to me how, watching all the little pieces, how do they work together to actually make the function you chose? It's like a 4-minute video because he takes apart the whole thing. Alright, so write out what function you're wanting on card 3, and then underneath that, pay attention and watch, and try to describe to me how does it actually accomplish that. There's buttons, there's springs, there's wires, there's a logic board, all kinds of stuff. I want you to think about all these parts. What parts are associated with the function you're considering, and how do the parts work together to actually output what it should do? They'll basically take apart one thing and then they'll pause it and label all the parts for you. There's a lot of parts in that controller.
with some motors.
So they basically have that spin, but the weights aren't balanced, so it like vibrates and jiggles while it spins. That's what gives you that rumble feedback. If the weights were balanced, it'd just spin and you wouldn't feel nothing. So they purposely imbalance them to cause that effect.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that on my computer.
So, does that make you feel a little bit better when you got to drop $60 on a new controller?
No, because there's a lot to break.
Right, but it's all housed and sealed away. You would never know any of this stuff until you broke it apart. It's not made to be broken apart. But there's a lot going on. Right? Every button needs a spring to return back to normal. Every button needs a sensor. Every button needs to be connected to the main logic board. The logic board needs to handle all the inputs, make the signal, and then output the signal correctly. Right? To me, this makes a little bit more sense. I mean, I was mad when I played PS2 when I was a kid. That was like my gaming console. That's what I grew up with. I was mad when I had to like spend another $20 on another controller just so like my friend and I and my sister could play. Right now, I think someone told me that controllers are like $70. Is that true?
Yeah.
Like, what are? Really?
It's called like an Elite controller or something.
Oh, is this PS5 or PS4?
No, it's Xbox.
Xbox?
Oh, no, PS4 has it.
Okay.
PS4 has Elite controllers and they're pretty expensive too.
Dang. Well, that's insane.
And then there's also a brand that makes
I'm
like
not too good.
controllers.
What brand is it?
They're called like scuff controllers,
Huh.
and they're like custom,
140 bucks.
customized.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so you
I
can
just looked it up. It was
you can
140.
have it like
140?
the shape of an Xbox controller, but the joy, but all everything on it, so it have this
There's some that are 170.
PlayStation?
but it looked like a PlayStation. Like
Oh my gosh.
Feel it with the PlayStation.
That's crazy. I would have never guessed it would breach $100. But my comment was more like, okay, like $50, it's a lot, but it kind of makes sense. There's a lot of little intricacies that go into making this work and do what it's supposed to do. But anyway, what you guys should be doing now, after we watch that,
I'm rewatching it.
that's fine. So I need you to take a few minutes, look at the third card, right? And I need you to describe, okay, my function was make character jump. Tell me how you think it works. What components are used? What's happening to actually, press a button and actually make the character jump? That's what I want you to take time to fill in on card number 3 is what was your function and describe to me how you think it works. I don't care if you're right or wrong, but you need to take your best guess at how does this work. All right, that needs to be card 3. Once you guys get that, we're going to submit this and then move on to our second activity. We'll submit that at the very end of class and then we'll be done. But everybody needs to be doing this. Everybody needs to complete it. Everybody needs to submit it to Classroom before we leave today. All right? Hunter. Are you done with this? Okay, finish this one, submit it, and then I'll let you go really quick. We've got a second activity still.
What's the second activity?
We're doing like visual, like artistic design analysis. It's a little different. It'll be kind of a change of pace for this class. Yeah, as soon as you get all 3 of those note cards or slides done, you can go ahead and submit that to Classroom, right? And then I'll be able to give you points for that, but that needs to happen today. Gabriel, did you get where we are? Did you see the Classroom post and the Google Slides? I don't know if Kyler mentioned. Yeah, you found it. Yep. So you've kind of got these like inputs, like you press this button. Yeah, it's supposed to do this, and then the character moves. And then the first one, this one is just if you look at the controller. So if you go to my PLTW, you can just look at the controller and describe it visually. Like the colors, the shape, just pretty generic. And then that third slide is the. You ready to get this done? Okay. So I need you to work on that, get that done, so I can give you points for that.
So we can just use any function.
Yep. Like make him jump. That's your function. What buttons and things are used to actually create that signal, send it to the computer, all that stuff. Okay, here. Hustle, please. Hey, did you get this one done? Did you get that, the functional analysis? Okay, so I need you to get that done so I can give you points. Yeah, I need you guys to be awake and present, please. Otherwise, there's no point being here, and I can just send you guys to the office and you can ask them to sleep there. So, Gabriel, this would be the first question. Just visually describe this, right? What colors is it? What shape does it look like? It's a curve.
Let's just turn this in when we're done with that.
Yep. When you finish this, go ahead and submit it to Classroom. Make sure you submit this to Classroom. If you don't submit it, I can't grade it. Right? There should be gimme points. One more thing that's kind of unique. It's if you guys are artistic or like art and design, you'll really like this next activity.
No. I mean, I love it, but not when it's required.
Well,
This week,
I can't fix that. But
3.
yeah, I think we have 3 more weeks, then we got Thanksgiving. And then 3 more weeks, and semester break.
Thank God.
Yes. I'm excited too. What? Over Christmas break? Are you going to have people record you after you get off the laughing gas or whatever they do?
No, not.
I hope they do, because
And then they send a video to you.
it's so funny. People say the weirdest things. Okay, yes, that's good. My sister recorded me, and my big thing is when we immediately went to Hy-Vee, to get our the medicine, the painkillers,
My brother actually.
and I was still loopy, and so I was yelling at all the cars that were honking in the parking lot. I would look out the window, and be shut up, and I'd hear another car honk, and I'd yell at the other car. That was the weirdest thing that
My
I
brother
did.
had no reaction to it.
Really?
No
Yeah.
reaction.
Yeah.
People's bodies react very differently.
Yeah, when I was put under and then woke back up.
Yep.
The only weird thing was that I couldn't feel the difference between hot and cold on
Oh,
the left side of my tongue.
that's
So
weird.
when I went back and ate some ice cream, it felt like hot. It felt hot.
Interesting.
The other side was cold.
I don't
So
like
I was
that.
just rambling on about that all day.
That's weird.
I don't like that.
That was the
That's
only-
weird to think about.
That is really weird. All right, you guys. So I want to move on. So now, what I need you guys to do, you should have all submitted that. Now I need you to go to, there's 2.2.2,
Wait.
Let me turn it
222
in. Turn it in.
on Classroom. So you need to get that open, right?
So just but I was trying to make myself look like
So what we're going to do, I need you guys to all find 222 on Classroom.
Oh, this is annoying. I like
It's going to be a visual analysis. Now I'm taking this activity and we're cutting it in half. But we're going to visually inspect, elements of design. This will feel a little different than what you might think of as engineering and what we've been doing so far. But it's an important part it's an aspect of an engineer's job. So Hayden, I printed this out for you that way you could just write directly on that and print it instead. So, I need to explain some visual aspects. There's two things talking about visual design. There's things called elements of visual design, and then there's principles of visual design. The elements are the actual things that are drawn, shaded, what you can put on a piece of paper. The principles are basically like the effect of them. Do you have any other questions? Nope. You good? Okay. Sounds good. I will grade all these this weekend and put them in Power School. Thank you for coming and getting that done. I appreciate that. Have fun at your visit day. Where are you visiting, by the way?
Just IWU.
IWU? Nice. All right, so again, there's elements of visual design. Those are things that you could actually put on a paper. An element is lines. I can put lines on a piece of paper. We're then going to talk about the principles of design, which is the effect, right? Symmetry is a principle of design. I can't draw symmetry, but I can draw my lines so that symmetry is created. So I'm going to go through this with you. On my PLTW, normally you would go through this yourself. These are the elements of design. Lines, colors. Anybody know what value is?
Isn't it how bold the color is?
Yeah, it's your shading, basically. Is it really dark and bold, or is it light and pale? The shape, is it a square, is it a circle? Form is basically like 3D, right? Is it a pyramid? Is it like a ball? Spacing, and then textures. Points, lines. I'm going to try and go through these quick so we can get to the activity. Vertical lines, horizontal lines, diagonal lines. There's curved lines. Colors, really self-explanatory. You can add color to your drawing or your design. You guys heard of color temperatures? Right? Blues, whites, they're really cool or cold. It's just a way to describe them. Value, it's basically shading, lightness and darkness. Gives us depth perception. Shapes, square, circle, or rectangle. What shapes do you have? Form is like a 3D shape in a drawing. Right? This is a form. It's not a shape because it's describing a three-dimensional. Spacing, right? I got a bunch of empty space. I can use that to create things. Textures. I can draw textures in my design. Those are elements of design. What I need you guys to do, if you go on Google Classroom 2.2.2, I need you to open up, it should make a copy for each of you individually. Open up the design matrix. It'll look really intimidating. We're going to go piece by piece.
Oh, that is very intimidating.
Yep. We're literally doing the first row. That's all we're doing right now. Yes, use of the design element. We're going to look at how these elements, the ones listed at the top that we just reviewed, how are they used in a coffee maker? So, what you're going to do right now is take time. You're going to fill in only the top row of that matrix. Right? Do you see how the first column is lines? In that top row, how are lines used in this coffee maker? Tell me how they're used. Now I want you to do this individually, but like, for example, like long curved lines outline the coffee maker. That's how lines are used in this design. right?
So we just say it's
The-
the outline of the.
Yep. How are lines used? Where do you see lines being used? Nothing crazy. Really quick phrase. Just described in a nutshell. Where do you see lines being used in this coffee maker? The second element is color. So I want you to describe to me, how are colors used? You could say red and black colors used for the coffee maker. Splits coffee maker, something like that. Right? The red dominates most of the coffee maker, while the inside parts are black. How are colors used? That's all we're focusing on. Where do you see colors in the coffee maker? Describe it. Where do you see shading, lightness and darkness in the coffee maker?
Where the light is on it.
Yeah, you see some lightness where the light is hitting the coffee maker. You can say there's lightness and darkness in the coffee maker components. There's a lot of lightness in the mug. Just describe how are these elements used in the coffee maker.
Glossy.
Yep, that's a good one. So texture. You could describe, hey, a smooth texture is over the entire coffee maker. That'd be a great one to fill in at the very end, the texture. Texture is used in a smooth way. Values like shading, right? Lightness and darkness. So Kyler pointed out, like, there's brightness where the light's hitting the coffee maker. There's a darkness on the interior components, right? That's how shading is used. So you guys need to take time to fill in that complete top row.
What was the value?
Shading. Where do you see different shades, like lightness and darkness? There's some lightness.
So it'd be by like where the light's hitting?
Yep. So that was Kyler's example a while ago. He was saying, hey, there's some lightness where the light reflects. That's how I see lightness and darkness.
What do you do for form and space?
Space is, where is space or gaps
What
used?
about shape?
There.
I see space here. There's space between the mug and the coffee maker body. Form is the three-dimensional shape. What three-dimensional shape is used?
It's kind of spherical.
Yep. To me, it kind of looks like an egg. So you can say like a general egg shape is used for the coffee maker. The shape is two-dimensional, right? Top view has a oval shape. Side view has a triangular shape almost.
You want to see?
Yeah, you will at the end. We're not done yet, though. We're doing the first row. We're identifying elements. How are lines used? How are shapes used? How is texture used? Like, where is it in the design? Then we're going to say, what's the effect of these elements? Right? What's the effect of having two colors? We'll talk about in a moment. But everyone needs to fill in that top line. And we'll wait and we'll fill out the rest of it.
What is shape?
Shape is two-dimensional shape. Right? This, I see an oval shape. I see a triangular shape.
Also, it's not what it looks like.
It is, but shape is two-dimensional.
'Cause this is why I put the shape as like a C, but the bottom is flat.
That's fine. That's fine. Form is three-dimensional.
So I should put that in the form and change up the shape a little.
Say your shape again.
I said the shape is like a C, but the bottom of it is flat.
No, I think that works. Right? You told me there's a C shape. That's good. That's 2D. And then the bottom is flat. Form, what kind of 3D shape is it? My example was it looks like an egg shape. Right? This thing kind of looks like a big egg. So it's it's an approximation, but form is three-dimensional shape. Shape is just 2D, looking one view at a time. Do you get through these one a day?
I get close to it, yeah.
That's impressive. My wife just looked up. She was like, "How much water am I supposed to drink?" I was like, "I don't know. I think it's like
It's normally
three.
like half your body weight in ounces.
Yeah, it's like 3.5 liters for men, which that looks right about.
It looks almost like a gallon.
Yeah, it's at least 3 liters. I think it's 3.5. So
That's
that's
what mine. That was what mine, the blue one was like. But it's like
gotcha.
3,000 liters.
Yeah, that's a
Fill
lot.
with tea, I think.
Okay, so everyone should have gotten that. Only the top row. Now, this is where we change things.
Oh, no.
We talked about elements. Those are things that you can put on a piece of paper. I can draw lines. I can draw shapes. I can shade things. The principles, this is like the effect. I can't draw balance, but I can draw different lines and create balance. I can't draw proportion, but I can make lines and shapes and create proportion. The principles are like the effects of what you're drawing. Balance, right? This is a balanced image. Balance doesn't have to be symmetric. You could have asymmetry. There's a lopsided balance. That's still an element of balance, or a principle of balance. It could be balanced radially. Everything comes out. Emphasis, right? There's an emphasis right here. Now, how did I create the emphasis? I used shading. I used dark shades and light shades to create emphasis. That's how you use an element of design to cause an effect, basically, to make a principle of design. Emphasis using color. Everything's black except the seatbelt buckle. That color creates emphasis. Contrast. Mainly this is shading, right? Lights and darks create contrast between the two. Rhythm. If I draw a bunch of lines, I can create rhythm in my design. Stars in the sky are an example of random rhythm. There's no pattern really. It's just a general sense of a pattern. That's still rhythm. Proportion. I can show different sizes using my drawings. Unity. I have all the same lines that create a unity down here. Economy is basically like minimalism, right? I'm using colors and a few lines to create a minimalist design using economy. All right? These are the effects of your drawing, of your elements, right? You can use color to do these things, to create these effects. So now what you need to do, if you want to, on my PLTW, this is a 3D model. You could really interact with this a lot more if you'd like. I'll leave the pictures up. You need to fill out 5 boxes in this grid before you turn it in.
Just 5?
Just 5. I'm making it easy on you guys.
Okay.
I don't want to hear any complaining about, oh, this is too much work. I'm only making you do 5. I want you to vary it up. What you're going to do is, okay, you told me, oh, there's red and black colors in the coffee maker. That's how color was used. Well, what's the effect? Contrast is an effect.
We're only doing 5 boxes.
Yep. So in this box, you would tell me the red and black colors create strong contrast in the coffee maker.
Can we use that one as one of our boxes or no?
That's fine. I'll make it even easier on you. Right? The color, you told me how color was used in the coffee maker. Down here, tell me what effect it has on contrast. Right? The red and black color creates contrast in the coffee maker. Right? Would be another one. Rhythm is like something repeated, right? A pattern, basically.
Like the bottom of the top maker?
What's that?
The bottom is like a top.
Oh yeah, in the 3D model.
So would that be like
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you could talk about that. Could also be balance or symmetry. It could be all of those. But you're talking about it's got to be one of the elements. So it's got to be. You have to say, okay, is it lines? Adrian, is it lines being used? Is it the shape? Probably shape, I think. Right? Circular shapes on the bottom create a balance. You got to fill in 5 for me. This is what the design is. Down here, you're telling me, okay, these designs, what effect do they have? And how? Doesn't have to be crazy detailed, just make that connection. Oh, the curved lines create an asymmetrical balance. Stuff like that. The color. The color creates contrast between the body and the mug. Color is used to create contrast. Tyler?
Am I able to use a question real quick?
Are you finished?
No, I have 3 more. I just did.
Okay, as long as you get it done before you leave here, that's fine.
Wait, so we have to do balance and all those as well for everything?
No, only 5 boxes. So pick any element that you described, right? You should already have described color, value, shape, blah, blah, blah. Pick one of them
Oh, well, I'm done.
and describe, the shape is used to create emphasis in this way. Fill in 5 of these boxes that basically connects the element used
Is that it?
and how it's used.
Is that it for today?
Yes.
Me too.
When you're done, when you get all 5 submitted, all 5 boxes, now do more if you'd like, practice, but I'm only requiring 5. That assignment also needs to be submitted to Classroom in 2.2.2. So there's 2 submissions for today. 2.2.1, which is your Google Slides. It's just the 3 slides about the reverse engineering. This one, 2.2.2, this matrix document, this whole top row should be filled in, describing a coffee maker, and 5 of these boxes down here that you pick, whichever ones you make sense to you, describe how the element is used to create element principles of design. Submit that to 2.2.2, excuse me. Those are the 2 submissions that I need before you walk out here. All right? I need you to get those done, get that turned in. Don't just not do it. You'll be shooting yourself in the foot. I want to give you points, but you got to do it to get the points. All right? And that's all we got for today. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to kind of wrap up, and then let's say 8:50, I'll turn you guys loose and let you know that, hey, you can get your phones out and you can relax the rest of class. All right, but until then, no phones. Keep them away. Be working on this. Make sure you get them all submitted. Then we can all hang out and just kind of rest on Friday. Live with that. No. Yeah, because you described, go to your document, you described how lines, colors, values are used in the coffee maker. Now pick one of them and describe, how does the lines make balance? How do colors in the coffee maker create emphasis? Right? Pick any of them that you want. Right? So to me, like value, that's like shading. The coffee mug was bright. It creates contrast with the black body of the coffee mug. That's how shading is used to create these units. No, any 5 boxes. I'd like you to mix it up. Like, look at the value and pick one of these. How does value create this? and then go like, okay, what about the form? How does the form create something?
So it's like using cities fine and what do they have in plastic?
No, 5 boxes, like this one. This box means how is value used to create contrast?
Okay.
You would write that, right?
So 5 boxes.
Anywhere. You
But
pick this box. You would have to tell me how is space used to create
blue hand
emphasis?
boxes and
Whatever you want. Whatever ones are easy and make sense. There's
was
5 boxes. William?
Your hand was like 7 too.
We should have beat them in. We should have
Okay, so
beat
you
them
gotta,
in.
you gotta sketch on the edge
Doing good.
to click that surface. Whichever one, you gotta do one at a time.
Yeah, huh? What came out? Carson.
So then you gotta draw a circle on that surface. You gotta zoom in.
Okay, yeah.
It needs to be 1/16 of an inch.
But he
So then you gotta put that rod through the hole. So you can create the circle, just click it, and then double click the dimension. Oh, wait. Yeah, wait. Escape that. Double click the black number, and then type in 1 divided by 16. Yeah, it'll calculate it for you. See, it'll automatically put it. Now finish your sketch. Go to extrude. You want to remove material. You want to make a hole. Click that circle, yep. And yeah, it went all the way through, so it made your hole. Yeah, just move, that's fine. You see that? It made your hole. Now you gotta do the same thing on the other hinge. Put the hole all the way through. That way you can put your pin through both of those holes and connect them. Yes, you can. Where's your assignment? Oh, thank you. Yeah, feel free. I'm gonna again let you guys get your phones out if you'd like, and just relax the rest of class. It's up to you guys to make sure you got these assignments in. All right. I want to remind you, all 2.1 work was due already. So if you didn't take the time to finish that and turned it in by now, it's going to be stuck at a 0. Right? I was giving you reminders almost every day. Right? So then I want you to be mindful of like, oh crap, I didn't do my work. That sucks. We're starting Unit 2.2. The easiest thing is just do your work when you're supposed to. Turn this assignment in right now when it's due. However, if you don't get this done, you could turn it in to me this weekend. It'll be late, but you still get full points. That will be true until when we end 2.2. When 2.2 ends, all of this work, if you haven't done it, it's going to turn into a 0 and be stuck there. So please don't shoot yourself in the foot and not do your work. And then come end of unit or the project time, you're like, oh crap, I didn't do anything. Then it's going to be stuck at a 0 and I can't help you. Right? The easiest thing for you guys is just do your work when you're supposed to and get it in. Alright? So projects I've turned in. I want to remind you again, I'm being gracious. I'm going to say, okay, if you didn't do it, you can turn it in late to me up until midnight Sunday. I'll still give you credit, but it'll be only half credit since it's late. So if you forgot your notebook, right, email me your notebook, right, this weekend or whenever, and I'll give you half credit for that. I'll try my best to give you not half credit total, but half credit for stuff that's actually late. If you submitted all the files but didn't give me your notebook, you turn your notebook in late, I'll give that half credit. Everything else, you could get full points. I'm going to try my best to be gracious, but at the end of the day, you knew the deadline. You got to get your work done. Any questions? Nothing? Guys good? I know you're ready for the weekend. I am too. Not too much longer.